Welcome to T1 Academy. So today in this video we are going to see our quant series. In the quant series our next concept is averages. In this averages concept a minimum of one question will be asked in each and every examination, a minimum. So we should be very good in this average so that we can easily solve the problem. So in this video what we are going to see is we will see the concepts of this average and then later we will see the questions and the remaining things. Now see here, first of all what we should know about the average. What is meant by this average? What is called the average, students? Average is nothing but, in other terms, average is also called as mean. Okay, average is also called as mean. That means the mean value, the middle value. Okay, we can consider it as a middle value. If you want to tell on an average something, anything as an average, that is nothing but mean. In other terms, we can also call this as arithmetic mean. In some terminologies, we can call it as arithmetic mean. But what happens here is, based on the concepts, this wording or the terminology will be changed, students. If you are dealing with the pure maths area, there we can see the concept called arithmetic, but in general we will call it as average. Now see here, there will be only one formula for this average. What is the average means? Sum of observations by number of observations. This is the only formula which we can see from this averages concept, but based on the requirement we will have some other one more formula. Later we will see that one. So this is the major formula. Average is nothing but the sum of observations by number of observations. Take for example, if I want to find the average of few numbers, something like this, 20, 25, 35 and 40. If I want to find the average between these numbers, what is the basic thing which I need to do? I need to add all these numbers. 20 plus 25 plus 35 plus 40 by how many observations are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So number of observations are how many here? 4 for us. Okay, so now when you add all these things, 45 plus 35, what it becomes? 80. 80 plus 40, it becomes 120. 120 by 4. So the average here becomes what? 30. That is the average of this 4 numbers. So what we have done here? Sum of observations by number of observations. Sum of observations by number of observations. This is the basic idea about this averages, students. Now we should know some of the important properties of these averages. What is it that means? Please observe here. For example, take an example. If I want to find the average of some 5 numbers, the 5 numbers are 2, 5, 6, 8 and some 9. Something like this. I have some 5 numbers. So what is the average of these numbers, students? If you find it, what you will do? 2 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9 by 5. What you will get here? The average for you is 2 plus 7, 7 plus 6, 13, 13 plus 8, 21, 21 plus 9, 30. 30 by 5, what it becomes? 6. 6 is the average of these numbers, right? 6 is the average of these 5 numbers. Now the property of this one is, if I increase, the first thing is, if I increase each and every number with a constant, that means each and every value, if I increase each and every value with 2. Okay, if I increase each and every value by 2, what will happen for us here? It will be incremented by 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 and so on. Okay, that means what happens? This will become 4, next 5 becomes 7, next 6 becomes 8, 8 becomes 10 and 9 becomes 11. 9 becomes 11. Now if I find the average of these numbers, that means 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 10 plus 11 by 5. So what happens here? 4 plus 7, 11, 11 plus 8 is for us 19, 19 plus 10 it is 29, 29 plus 11 what it becomes? 40. 40 by 5, what it is? 8. If you observe carefully, students, here each and every value is incremented by what? 2. So in the similar manner, my average is also incremented by 2. Okay, understood? That means when a group of numbers is incremented by a constant, that means if it is increased by a constant value, then the average will be also be increased by that same constant value. For example, for n observations, if the average is m, for n observations, if the average is m, then if each and every observation here is increased by 2, remember this one carefully students, I am saying that not the observations are increased by 2. If each and every observation is increased by 2, that means when each and every observation is increased by 2, then my average also will be increased by 2. Then my average also increases by 2. Not only incremental students. If my average gets, means each and every observation gets decremental. For example, see here, now this is 2, 5, 6 and 9, right? If I decrease every number by 1, 1, that means every observation by 1, 1, what will happen? This will become 1, this becomes 4, this becomes 5, this becomes 7 and this becomes 8 for me here. So what is the average of this one? 1 plus 4, 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 7 it is 17, 17 plus 8 it becomes 25. So 25 by 5, what it is? 5. Understood? Actual average is 6. Now I have decremented each and every observation by 1. So obviously my average also decreases by 1. And similarly, if I increase the average, each and every observation, then my average also increases with the same constant. Same constant. See students, this application later we will use while solving the some other problems. Okay. Now we will see the next question. Next model. Next property of this one. So earlier what I have done? I have incremented the average, right? I have incremented the average by a constant and then decremented. Now we will see one more example. If I multiply a constant, then what will happen for us? For example, if my observations are 2, 3, 7, 8. These are my observations and I need to find the average for these observations. Now what will happen? 2 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 by 4. What it is becoming for me? 20 by 4. It is 5. My average here is how much? 5. Now I will multiply each and every value with 2. That means each and every observation by 2. What will happen? It becomes 4, 6, 14 and 16. Now what is this average for me here? 4 plus 6 plus 14 plus 16 by 4. That is 10 plus 30, what it becomes? 40. 40 by 4, what it is? 10. What it is? 10. That means, see here students, in earlier case we have added and subtracted, it worked, and here also the same thing. If each and every observation is multiplied by 2, then my average also gets multiplied with 2. See here, our previous average is 5, 5 2s are 10. Okay, understood? These are the one of the properties of this averages concept. These are the properties of this average concept. Okay, sir, good. Next we will see, under the same category itself, we need to observe one more thing. Till now what we have done students, we have added the observations and we divided it with the number of observations. That is called the average. Okay, good. But there is one more method to find the average. That method we will call it as deviation method. Okay, we call that method as deviation method. This is very, very important students. Why? Because to solve some of the difficult problems and to understand the concepts also, we will use this deviation method. Okay, with the help of deviation method, we are going to solve most of the problems. And so, this deviation method is very, very, very important for us. Okay, now what is this deviation method, sir? Now see here students. For example, there are 3 friends. One is having some 12 rupees with him. The other is having some 14 rupees with him. And the other one is having some, let us assume 10 rupees with him. Okay, there are 3 friends. One have 12 rupees with him, one have 14 rupees with him, and the third friend is having some 10 rupees with him. Now, generally, what we will do, if it is case of average, we will do 12 plus 14 plus 10 by 3. And we will write it as 36 by 3 and we will write the average as 12. We will write the average as 12. Okay, good sir, superb. Now, but I will tell you one more concept that is called as deviation method. Now see here, instead of collecting the entire money from all the 3, what we will do is, what is the minimum amount with each and every person here students? What is the minimum amount with each and every person? The minimum amount with each and every person is 14, 12 and 10 is, a minimum of 10 rupees is there with every person, right? A minimum of 10 rupees is there with each and every person. Now, what I will do is, I will collect the excess amount. Okay, understood? I will take out only the excess amount with each and every. See, when it comes to the first person, he is having how much more? 2 rupees. Understood? When it comes to the second person, how much more he is having? 4 rupees. Okay, when it comes to the third one, no, why? Because same 0 and 0. Now, after collecting the excess amount, once again I should divide this with all the 3 people, right? So, by 3. Why? Because I have 3 people here. So, what it becomes? 10 plus 6 by 3. 3 ones are 3 twos are, what it becomes? 12. So, that means my average here becomes how much? 12 students. So, this method we will call it as deviation method. We call it as deviation method. Not only by taking 10 students, it is up to you. Why I have taken 10 means we will not get any negative values. Without any confusion, we will get the answer. That is the reason I have taken. If you want, you can take 12 also. There is no wrong in taking 12 also. If I take 12 as my mean, initial mean, what it becomes here? When I compare it with the first value, what is the difference? 0. When I compare it with the second value, what is the difference? 2. When I compare it with the third value, this is less than 12, right? So, what you will write? You will write it as minus 2. Understood? And then divide it by 3. So, what it becomes? 12 rupees. 2 minus 2, 0. 0 by 3, it becomes what? 0. So, 12 rupees will be the average. That means, not only the smallest one, you can take any value. Actually speaking, you can take with 12, 14, 10, whatever you want. See, for example, if I take the same thing with 14 rupees, what will happen? When I compare it with the 12, 12 is less than 14 or more than 14? Less than 14. By how much? Minus 2. Okay. When I see 10, 14, it is 0. There will be no difference between 14 and 14. When I see 10 and 14, what is the difference here? Minus 4. Why? Because 10 is less than 14 by 3. Anyway, I should divide it with what? 3. So, now what happens here? 14 minus 2 minus 4, what it becomes, students? Minus 6 by 3. So, 3 ones, 3 twos. So, 14 minus 2, what it becomes? 12 rupees. That means it is up to you. That means based on your requirement and your convenience, you can take anything as a mean. There is no wrong in that. But what my suggestion here is, always try to take the least value. Why I am suggesting least value means, you will get only the positive values without any confusion. You will get the answer very quickly. If you have this positive and negative, sometimes what happens here is, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes what happens here is, you may get confused whether to write plus or minus like this, you will have the confusion. If you take the least value, without any confusion, you will get the answer. So, this method we will call it as deviation method. Deviation method. Okay. Now, for our understanding, we will see some basic things, students. What is the basic observations which we should know before solving the problem? For example, there is a group of people. There is a group of students. Okay, their average is some 24. Their average is some 24. Tell me one observation. If a new person, one new person is joined to that group. Because of addition of that person, what happened here is the average is increased by some 1 rupee. Okay. The average is increased by 1. Okay. The average is increased by 1. Now tell me what will be the weight of this newly added person? What will be the, approximately, not exactly, what will be the weight? Tell me whether it will be greater than 24 or less than 24. New person's weight will be. If average increases, what happens to the weight of the new person? Whether it will be greater? Definitely it will be more than 24. Why? Because see here, students, there are two friends whose weight is 12 kgs and 12 kgs. Now tell me, if one more person joined whose weight is some 12 kgs with him, with those three. Now what will be the average? 12 only, right? Why? Because previously is also 12 and newly added person is also 12. So the average will be 12 only. Now see here, there are two friends, 12 and 12. One new person is added to that group whose weight is some 15 kgs. Now tell me whether the average will increase or decrease. Definitely the average increases. Why? Because the newly added person weight is more than the previously present weight. Okay. And similarly, there are two friends whose weight are 12 and 12 and a newly added person's weight is some 9. What will happen to the average? Now the average will come down below 12. What is the reason? Why? Because the newly added person's weight is less than the previous average. That means the average, the change in the average depends on the newly added person. Okay. The change in the average will be there, will depends on newly added person, depends on newly added person or entity, whatever it may be, newly added person or value. Okay, now see here, if its value is more, then the average increases. If its value is less, then the average decreases. More and less than what? Previous average, that's it. More and less than what? Previous average. And other than that, everything remains same here. Everything remains same here. Okay, understood students? That means if there is a group, okay, now just now we have solved, now we will see an example. We will see an example, students. What will happen? The first example, okay, so in this problem, what is happening? There are 5 electronic shops in the market which have 20, 30, 60, 80, 50 LED sets with them respectively. So A, B, C, D and E are having how many mobile sets with them? 20, 30 electronic sets with them, 20, 30, 60, 80 and 50. Okay, this is a basic question, students. Now see here, first one, find the average of number of LED sets in each group is. Okay, very simple. I need to find the average of this one. So what will be the average for me? 20 plus, 30 plus, 60 plus, 80 plus, 50. By total, how many shops are there for me here? 5 shops are there for me here. So what will happen? 50, 60, 110, 190 and 240. 240 by 5. 240 by 5. So what will be my answer here? 5 4s are 5 8s are. So the actual average is how much? There are 48 number of electronic shops in that one. Okay, next one. If each of A, B, C, D, E and have imported 12 new LED sets. Now each and every one of these 5 shops have imported 12 new sets. Just now we have seen one of the property. If each value is increased by 12. If each value is increased by 12, what happens to my average? My average also increases by 12. So what will be my new average here, students? New average will be what? 48 plus 12. Directly I am adding 12. The reason here is each and every shop is importing 12 new LED sets. Okay. So that is the reason I am directly adding the average. That means new number to this previous average. So 48 plus 12, what it becomes? 60. What actually the procedure is, you need to do add everything to this one. It becomes 32, it becomes 42, it becomes 72, it becomes 92 and it becomes 62. You need to add and anyway you will get the same answer. It is waste of time in doing that. If each and every value increases by a constant, then by average also increases by the same constant. Okay. Now we will see the next one. Now see here, in a class of 60 students, the average weight of 30 students is X, okay, and that of the remaining is Y kgs. Now see here students, the total class is divided into 2 groups, right? Okay, 60 students as a group, okay, in that 2 groups are divided. If one group is of 30 students, then what about the other group students? The other group will be having the same number. Why? Because 60 minus 30, what it becomes? 30 students. The other group also have the same number of students. Okay. Next, and what they are saying, the average weight of the 30 students is X kgs. X kgs. And that of the remaining is how much? Y kgs. And that of the remaining is how much? Y kgs. Now see here students, till now, whatever the things which we have solved or we have observed, what we have done, we have taken the individual results. Right, means individual observations, 2, 3, 4 like that. But now for the first time we are seeing a group of people here. Okay. Now 30 students average weight they are telling is what? X kgs. And this 30 students average weight is how much they are telling? Y kgs. Okay. Now we have a group of people here. Then how we need to solve this type of questions? First we will see the general case. And after observing, understanding the concepts, then we will use the shortcut method here. See here students, average, generally how you will find the average? Sum by number of observations, right? This is the formula for average. Okay, in this case, what did they give for us? Average. They have given us directly the average. What is the average they given for us? X. And the sum of observations, we don't know. Let us assume it as sum only. By number of observations are how many here? 30. That means let us assume this is group A and group B for our convenience. Okay, so sum of group A. What is the sum of group A? From this what we can understand? 30x. Am I correct? 30x. Next see here, what is the formula for average we have? Average is equal to sum of B by number of observations. Sum of all the weights of the group B. So now what will happen here for me? This one they given it as y. Y by sum of B by number of observations are how many? Here also the same 30. So sum to group B is how much? 30y. What does sum here tells us, students? Sum of weights of students of group A, sum of weights of students of group B. Okay. Now I need to find the overall average of the class, overall average weight of the class. So what you will do? Average weight of the class will become what? Sum of weights of group A plus sum of weights of group B by total strength, right? So sum of weights of group A is how much? 30x. What will be sum of weights of group B? 30y. By what is the total strength of the class? 60. What is the total weight of the class? 60. So now what happens to this? If I take 30 common here, it becomes what? X plus y by 60. So 31s, 32. So the average will become what? X plus y by 2 in this case. X plus y by 2 in this case. So here our average becomes this one. X plus y by 2 kgs. Okay, good. Now see here, students. In general, we will not do all these things, students. Why? Because here we have the average and the number of students. If I want to sum means, directly I will multiply these two things. So directly what I will do, this is the process. To understand the concept, I have told you this example. But from here onwards, what we are going to do is, we are not going to do each and every time all these things. If number of observations and sum average is given, number of observations and average is given, then the sum will become what? Product of these two. So directly I will write 30x and the total sum of this one is how much? 30y, and the total strength of the class is how much? 60. The total strength of the class is how much? 60. So directly we will write 30 times of x plus y by 60. From now onwards we will do like this. Directly we will multiply. We will not write each and every time what is this average and what is the sum of these people and all those things. It is waste of time. For understanding, we have solved one question in this manner, but from here onwards directly we will write 30x. The sum of weights of these students means 30x. The sum of weights of these students means 30y. Directly we will say. Okay, we will see the next one. Now see here, the average heights of the students in three sections, P, Q and R are 175 students. Okay, there are three sections, P, Q and R. And what are their averages here, students? Their averages are 175, 172 and 178 centimeters. Okay, these are their average heights of those three sections. Okay, and if the number of students in each section, okay, when it comes to number of students, what they are telling, the number of students in each section is are how many? 20, 30 and 40 respectively. 20, 30 and 40 are the three average number of students in each section. Okay, number of students in each section. Now, just now I told you, to get the totals, what I will do generally? Simply I will multiply these two. To find the average, what I will do now? 175 into 20. Earlier we have done, right? 30x. Similarly, 175 20s are, 175 2s are, it becomes how much? 350 and 2 zeros. Sorry, 1 0, that's 0. Next 172 3s are, 173 2s are, 3s are, what it becomes, students? 516, 172 3s are. It becomes how much? 516 into 516 and 0 plus. Next 178 4s are. 178 4s are, what it becomes? 356 plus 356. It becomes 712. 7120 by, now the total 20 plus 30, 50, 50 plus 40, what it becomes? 90. Now what will be the average for us in this case? 0, 8, 7, 7 plus 5 it is 12, 12 plus 3 it becomes what? 15 by 90. 0, 0 get cancels. We will try to cancel with 9 table. 9 1s are 9 1. So 67 means 9 7s are 63. Okay, 9 7s are 63, and what you will get here? 9 7s are 63. You will get 48 here. Okay. 48 means 9 5s are 175 and you will have 3 as a remainder. So 3 by 9. So at last what you will get? 175.33 will be the average here. 175.33 will be the average for us in this case. Okay. Sir, this is good. But what is happening here is I have multiplied it quickly. Somehow I multiplied it with quickly. What it becomes? 175 2s are, I know it is 350. So 0 0 I multiplied. Next 172 3s are 506 and 0. But 178 3s are what you will get? 17120. So this is the thing which is happening, right? Now we will try to solve the same question with the help of deviation method, students. Why? Because see here, each and every time it is becoming a hectic task for me to multiply this much huge numbers to this one. Then how you will calculate the same thing with the deviation method? Please see here. Already I told you, always I will consider my least value as the standard value. Okay. So now tell me what is the average, least average here among these three? What is the least average among these three? 172, right? 172 is the least average. So what it becomes? I will take 172 centimeters plus. Now when I compare it with this 175, 175 is more than 172 by how much? 175 is more than 172 by 3. And remember one thing, this 3 centimeters is excess with how many students? 20 students. This 3 centimeters is excess with how many students? 20 students. So that is the reason I am multiplying 3 into 20. 3 into 20 plus. When I compare 172 with 172, what is the difference? 0. 0 into 30, what it becomes? 0. But for your knowledge, I am writing it as 0 for your understanding. Okay, next, what we can say? 178. When I compare 172 with 178, it is more than 178 by how much? 178 is more than 172 by how much? 6. 6 into, this is greater than, with how many people? This 6 is with 40 people. So 40. 40. As usual, the total number of students are how many here? 90. So now what happens here? 172 plus 320s are 60. 60 plus 240, what it becomes? 300. 300 by 90. 300 by 90, right? So now what happens to this? 0 0 get cancelled. In 3 table 10 times and in 3 table 3 times. So what it becomes? 172 plus 10 by 3 means what? 3.33. So which we will get it as 175.33. 175.33. See here, students, this is the basic method. This is the standard procedure to find the average of any group of people or any set of people. But this is the shortcut method. What our suggestion is, you should follow this method. You should follow this deviation method. This one is just for an understanding the concept. Why we are doing this? This is the reason. And by deviation method, 172 is the least value. So I have taken 172. And when I see the first average, it is what? 175. That means it is more than 172 by how much? 3. And it is with how many students? This is not a single observation. These are group observations. So that is the reason you multiplied these two, right? Similarly here also 3 into 20. So what it becomes? 60. Like that you need to solve these type of questions. Whenever there is a group of people, you need to deal them in this manner. Okay. Now we will see the next one. Okay. The mean of the marks secured by 25 students of section A. Okay. There are 3 sections here as usual. Section A of class X is 47. Okay. I mean the 10th class. Section A. In A section, 25 students are there and the average is 47. Okay. Next, that of 35 students of section B is 51. Okay. When it comes to section B, it have how many students? 35 students. And the average here is how much? 51. And when it comes to section C, there are 30 students. And their average is 53. Okay. Find the combined mean of marks of students of all the 3. That means nothing but he is asking us the total average marks of this entire 10th class. 10th class students. Students, pause the video and try to solve it. Earlier we solved the similar one. Okay. Anyway, I will tell you now. Though, please pause the video and try to solve this problem. Now see here, what is the minimum average with all the students? The minimum average with each and every student is how much? 47. Okay, I will take that 47 as a barrier, minimum one. Now when I compare the first set of people, 47, 47, 0. 0 into 25, anyway it becomes 0. When I see the section B students, what is the difference between here and here? 4 marks. And this 4 marks is with how many students? 35 students. So what I will write here? 4 into 35. Plus, when it comes to section C, each and every student is having average is how much? 53. When I compare it with 47, what it becomes? 6. 53 is more than 47 by 6. So 6 with how many students? 30 students. So 6 into 30. By total number of students are here how many? 25 plus 35, 60. 60 plus 30, it becomes 90. Okay. So now what happens here? 47 plus 35 fours are 140. 140 plus 180. What it becomes? 320. 320 by 90. 0, 0 get cancels. And what happens to this one? 47 plus 9 ones are 9. 3s are 27. I will be left with 5. So that means point means it becomes 50. So 5s are 45. Once again I will get 5. So it will be 3.5555. Okay. So what it becomes now? 50.55. 50.55 is the average of this entire section or entire class. Okay. So in this manner, whenever there are a group of people, how we will solve means we will take the minimum and we will try to observe the difference. We always solve the problems by using the deviation method only. That is the most effective method. And remember, if you want to find that in a traditional manner, you will need to multiply 47 with 25, 51 with 35, 53 with 30. You will get 3 values. You need to add all those 3 values and once again divide it with 90. Anyway, more or less the same thing. You will come to the same concept. But that will take a lot of time for us. Okay, understood? Now next we will see the next one. Now see here the average of 5 consecutive odd numbers is 61. Okay. Now here we will discuss a simple concept, students. So the average of, this is a concept for the average. Okay. The average of consecutive numbers always depends on the number of numbers in that one. See, consecutive numbers means what, students? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are consecutive numbers, right? So the average of consecutive numbers, if number of see how many numbers are there here? Odd. N is equal to 5, right? N is equal to 5 means then the average will become what here, students? Means very simple. The middle one. 4 will be the average. Not only the consecutive natural numbers, consecutive odd numbers, consecutive even numbers also. See, for example, if I have 2, 4, 6, 8 and 9. How many? 10. 10. Consecutive even numbers, right? These are all what? Consecutive even numbers. So, how many are there in number? 5 are in number. This is odd in number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Odd number, right? So, that means the middle one. In 5 observations, what is the middle observations? What is the middle observation? The middle observation is 5 plus 1 by 2. Or else directly we can say 3. So, that is 6. So, the third observation here is what? 6. So, 6 will be the average. So, now what you people will write is, write down a note. Note down, you can, if you want. What you can write here is the average of n consecutive natural numbers is if n is odd. If n is odd, n plus 1 by 2th observation. That means if there are 5 observations, then the average will become what? 5 plus 1 by 2. That is, third observation will become the average. If the number of observations are 7, then 7 plus 1 by 2, that is fourth observation will become the average. Remember one thing, those are consecutive. Whether it may be consecutive even numbers, consecutive odd numbers, whatever it may be. Okay, understood? The average will become the n plus 1 by 2 observation will become the average. Okay, next. If n is odd, then what will happen? See, for example, if the numbers are 2, 4, 6 and 8, then what will be the average? Then what will be the average means it will be the average between the, see, average between the middle two terms. Why? Because here I don't have any middle term. See, if there are odd number of numbers, you can easily observe the middle term. But if there are even number of terms, how you can observe the even term? So here the average will become 4 plus 6 by 2. 4 plus 6 by 2. 4 plus 6 it is what? 10. So the average will become what? 5. Here the average becomes 5. So if n is even, what we will do is our average is equal to average of remember n by 2 comma n by 2 plus 1th term. That means see here total how many observations are there for me? 4 observations are there. N by 2th term means what? Second term. Second term is what? 4. N by 2 plus 1 means what? Third term. That is what? 6. I need to find the average of these two numbers. 4 plus 6 by 2. What it is? 5. So if n is odd, then directly we can take that n plus 1 by 2th observation is the average. If n is even, then the average becomes what? Average of the, once again you need to find the average of two numbers. What are those two numbers? N by 2 and n by 2 plus 1. Please remember this one plus 1 is not to the numerator, it is separately written plus 1. Okay, so I need to find the average of these two numbers, then that will become the average for the complete series. Whether it is even numbers or odd numbers, whatever it may be, for consecutive numbers, we will observe this logic. Okay, now come to our problem, students. What is happening in this problem? Okay. Now see here, the average of 5 consecutive odd numbers is 61. Okay. What is the difference between the highest and the lowest numbers? See students, how many numbers are there for me here? 5 consecutive odd numbers. 5 consecutive. See, consecutive numbers 5 means what will be the average? Okay, the average of 5 consecutive numbers. Forget about odd numbers, later we will use that odd numbers case, but generally the average of 5 consecutive odd numbers will become what? 5 plus 1 by 2th observation. Okay, that means third observation is the average here. Third observation is the average. What they are telling that third observation is how much? 61. That means first, second, third, fourth and fifth. Like this we have 5 observations. In that third observation is what for us here? 61. 61. Okay, if third observation is 61, if this one is 61, you can easily write, right? Anyway, they are what? Consecutive numbers. So 61 minus 2, what it becomes? 59. 61 minus 59 minus 2, what it becomes? 57. Here what it becomes? 63 and it becomes what? 69. Sorry, 65. 65. They are asking us what is the difference between the highest and the lowest numbers. What is the difference between highest and lowest number? 65 minus 57. What it is? 8. 8. So this is the value. This is how we find the answer. And remember one more thing, students. See here, these are small observations. So you have written, sir, well and good, we are happy. But if the observations are very huge, that means if there are 20 observations or 21 observations, if there are 21 observations, then what is the difference between the highest and least means? See here, please be careful, these are what? Odd numbers. That means the difference between each and every observation will be how much? 2. Am I correct? Why? Because these are odd numbers. And total how many numbers are there for me here? Total how many numbers? 5 numbers. In this case, I am speaking about in this case. So, and difference between each and every will become what? 2. And if they ask the difference between the first and the last, remember this one carefully. Directly you can take n minus 1 into 2. N is what? Number of observations. So, 5 minus 1 into 2. What it becomes? 8. Similarly, if the number of observations are 21, without having average also we can find, students, actually speaking. There is no need of average. Without taking the help of average also we can find. See, total n is how much? 21. So that means n minus 1 will become what? 21 minus 1. And these are odd observations. So each difference between each observation will be how much? 2. So 20 into 2, what it becomes? 40. That means without the help of average also we can find. But what we should know is, this is the logic which we should know. If you don't know this concept or logic, then definitely you will ask to you want an average. You want an average. So in this manner, you need to understand the concept and try to solve. If they give us the average, very simple. You can go backward and forward and you can add the difference. If they doesn't give the average also, no problem. No problem. You can find the number of observations and n minus 1 into 2. In this case, it is into 2. If they are consecutive numbers, means no, not required of this 2 also. Okay, like this we are going to solve the problems. Like this we are going to solve the problems. Next one. Find the average numbers from 20, average of numbers from 20 to 45. Okay, 20 to 45, all these are consecutive numbers, right? 20, 21, 22, 23 and so on up to 45. First and foremost thing, tell me how many observations are there here? The first and foremost thing. How many observations are there here? That is very, very important, students. Why? Because anyway finding the answer is very simple in this case. Tell me how many observations are there here? Few students will think it as 40 minus 20 is 25 observations are there. This is wrong, students. Why? Because see here, if you count how many you will get is 21. So whenever you want to find the number of observations in the case of consecutive, yes, you can do 45 minus 20. 45 minus 20, but please add plus 1 to this one. So that means total 26 observations we will have here. In case of 26 observations, 26 is whether it is an even or odd? An even number. So 26 is an even number. So then how you will find the average, students, tell me? Average will become what? N by 2th term. Okay, that means average of n by 2th and n by 2 plus 1th term. Okay, understood? So first of all, that means I need to find the average of what? N by 2th term means 13th term and 14th term. 13th term and 14th term, or for 13th observation or 14th observation. What is 13th observation in this? Starting from 20. Starting from 20, what is the 13th observation? Don't say 20 plus 13. That is wrong, students. So 20 plus 13 minus 1 you should take. So the 13th observation here will become what? 32. 32. Why? Because 20 will become 1. Okay, and the 14th observation will become what? 33. 32 plus 33 by 2. So what it becomes? 65 by 2, which is 32.5. Which is 32.5. 32.5 is the average of these numbers. And remember one thing, students, here, once again I am repeating, please be careful while finding these total terms and while finding this middle terms, 13th and 14th, from where we are starting, that is very important. Okay, don't add, see here to get the total terms, don't do 45 minus 20 and leave it there itself. Definitely add plus 1. Okay, and to get the 13th term, don't write it as 20 plus 13. Please be careful. In this case, please do minus 1. Please do minus 1. Okay, don't simply stop at this point. So this will become what? 32. If you want, you can cross check it. Write down all the numbers and try to count it. You will come to know these two concepts. So these two are very important. Anyway, finding these things are common for everything, but please try to observe these things. Okay, number of terms, total number of terms in consecutive terms means you can subtract the first and the last, but add plus 1. Okay, understood? And next, from any particular value, if you want to find 14th term or something, that don't add simply plus that value. Minus 1, something like that, do it. Okay, so please be careful with this. And the remaining things are very simple. Okay, right? With this, our first, the basics of the average concept is finished. Next, we will see the some other important questions. Thank you very much. Thank you.